So our next topic is process of planning, and it is an important topic. As planning is an activity, there are certain reasonable measures for every manager to follow. So our first step is analyzing opportunities. This could be a primary step in the process of planning, which analyzes the opportunities for growth in terms of productivity and goodwill of the company. For example, a mobile phone company will search an area where people have hope or need for their product and brand. Second step is setting objectives. So, this is the step which specifies the objective of an organization, that is, what an organization wants to achieve. The planning process begins with the setting of objectives. Objectives are end result with the management wants to achieve by its operations. Objectives are specific and are measurable in terms of units, and objectives are the set for the organization as a whole for all departments, and then departments set their own objectives within the framework for organizational objective. For example, a mobile phone company sets the objective to sell 2 lakh units next year, which is double the current sales. Next step is developing premises, or we can say developing planning premises. Planning is essentially focused on the future, and there are certain events which are expected to affect the policy information. Such events are external in nature and affect the planning adversely if ignored. Their understanding and fair assessment are necessary for effecting planning. Such events are the assumptions on the basis of which plans are drawn and are known as planning premises. Example, the mobile phone company has set the objective of 2 lakh units sale on the basis of forecast done on the premises of favorable government policies towards digitization of transactions. Next step is identifying alternatives. Identifying alternatives course of action. Once objectives are set, assumptions are made, then the next step is to act upon them. There may be many ways to act and achieve objectives, and all the alternatives course of actions should be identified. For example, the mobile phone company has many alternatives like reducing price, increasing advertising and promotion after sales service desks, etc. Next step is evaluating alternatives. In this step, the positive and negative aspects of each alternative needs to be evaluated in the light of objectives to be achieved. Every alternative is evaluated in terms of lower cost, lower risk, and higher returns within the planning premises and within the availability of capital. For example, the mobile phone company will evaluate all the alternatives and check its pros and cons. Next step is selecting an alternative. So, the best plan, which is the most profitable plan and with minimum negative effects, is adopted and implemented. In such cases, the manager's experience and judgment play an important role in selecting the best alternative. For example, mobile phone company selects more TV advertisements and online marketing with great after sales service. Our next step is implementing action plan. This is the step where other managerial functions come into the picture. The step is concerned with doing what is required. In this step, managers communicate the plan to the employees clearly to help convert the plan into action. This step involves allocating the resources, organizing for labor, and purchase of machinery. For example, mobile phone company hires salesmen on a large scale, creates TV advertisement, starts online marketing activities and sets up service workshops. And our last step for the process of planning is follow up action. So, monitoring the plan constantly and taking feedback at regular intervals is asked follow up. Monitoring of plan is very important to ensure that the plans are being implemented according to the schedule. Regular checks and comparisons of the results with set standards are done to ensure that objectives are achieved. For example, a proper feedback mechanism was developed by the mobile phone company throughout its branches so that the actual customer response, revenue collection, employee responses, etc., could be known. And our next topic is tools of planning. See, there are plenty of tools available for planning. I think more than 50 or 100. So we will discuss few of them. Our first tool is affinity diagram. An affinity diagram, also known as affinity map or affinity chart, is a visual tool used to organize a large number of ideas, data points, or pieces of information into groups based on their natural relationships. This method is particularly useful in brainstorming sessions, project management, and user research to bring order to large volumes of information and uncover patterns and insights. So, what is the origin and purpose for the same? The affinity diagram was invented in the 1960s by Japanese anthropologist Zero Kawakita, and it is sometimes referred to as the KJ method in his honor. It is one of the seven management and planning tools defined in the project management body of knowledge, which is also known as PMBOK guide. So, when to use this affinity diagram? This diagram is effective in various scenarios, including post brainstorming sessions. So, to organize ideas generating during brainstorming. Next is complex problem solving. So, when dealing with a large amount of data or complex issues. Next is user research. So, to synthesize qualitative data from interviews, observations, or surveys. We use affinity diagram in project management to classify tasks and identify relationship. So there are few steps to create an affinity diagram. First step is run a brainstorming session, gather a wide range of ideas, observations, or data points from participants. Next step is generate ideas as sticky notes. So write down each idea or data point on a sticky note or virtual equivalent. Next step is organize notes into clusters. So group similar ideas or data points into clusters based on their relationships. Next step is add titles to identify groups. So you have to level each cluster with a little that represents the common theme or relationship. Next and last step is Review and prioritize clusters. So discuss the clusters with the team and prioritize which ideas to focus on. Here are some benefits of using an affinity diagram. Organizes large volumes of data. It helps sort through confusing data and organize it in a legal or logical manner. Next benefit is encourages collaboration. So it involves participants from diverse backgrounds, leading to new patterns of thinking and unique solutions. Next benefit is enhances problem solving. It facilitates the identification of creative solutions to difficult problems. Next benefit is improves communication. So it represents analysis in an easy to understand manner, enhancing understanding and communication within the team. Next is identifies patterns and relationships. So it helps uncover underlying patterns and connections within the data. Here are some practical applications. First is project management, second user research, and the last is TQM, which is also known as total quality management. So it is used to organize and prioritize tasks, identify risks, and manage unstructured feedback. It applied to synthesize qualitative data from interviews, observation, or surveys. It facilitates the organization of ideas and data to identify patterns and relationships. Here are some tips for effective affinity diagramming. First is avoid predetermined categories, then start with a clear objective, then include diverse perspective, followed by encourage open brainstorming, and last is aim for simplicity. So let the categorize emerge organically from the data. Define the goal of the brainstorming session before starting and involve people with different backgrounds and experiences to enrich the process. Foster an environment where participants feel free to share their ideas. Keep the diagram visually appealing and easy to read with as few groups as possible while capturing all important ideas. In summary, an affinity diagram is a powerful tool in organizing the making sense of large amounts of information. By grouping related ideas, it helps teams identify patterns, enhance collaboration, and improve problem solving processes. Whether used in project management, user research, or brainstorming sessions, affinity diagram bring clarity and structure to complex data. So next tool is tree diagram. A tree diagram, also known as a systematic diagram, hierarchy diagram, or analytical tree, is a visual tool used to break down broad categories into final level of detail. It helps in moving from generalities to specifics, making it easier to understand and analyze complex information. And the purpose and uses of this diagram is in various fields and for multiple purposes, including project planning to break down tasks and subtasks needed to complete an objective, organizational structure that mean to illustrate roles, hierarchies, and team dynamics within an organization, for problem solving, to analyze complex problems by breaking them down into smaller, more manageable components, for decision making, to chart the outcomes of dependent events and visualize cause and effect scenarios, and for probability and statistics, that mean to calculate the number of possible outcomes of an event and problem. And here are some components of a tree diagram. First is root, the starting point or main idea from which the diagram branches out. Second component is branches. It lines that connect to the root to various nodes representing different categories or steps. Next component is nodes, points where branches split representing specific ideas, tasks or outcomes. Next component is leaves. So the end point of branches representing the most detailed level of information. And the steps to create a tree diagrams are: define the objective. Start with a clear statement of a goal, project plan or problem at the top or far left of your work surface. Second step is brainstorm major categories. So identify the main categories or major task areas related to the objective. Next step is break down categories. So subdivide each category into final level of detail, creating branches and nodes. Next step is continue detailing. You have to keep breaking down each level until you reach the most specific details or actionable steps. Next step is review and refine. So you have to ensure that all branches and nodes are logically connected and that the diagram is comprehensive. Some benefits of using a tree diagram is clarity and organization. It helps in organizing complex information in a clear hierarchical structure. Next benefit is enhanced problem solving and improved decision making. So it facilitates detailed analysis and identification of root causes and provides a visual aid for tracking and analyzing cause and effect scenarios. And the last benefit is collaboration and communication. So it encourages team members to expand their thinking and verify decision making at every level. Some practical applications are: first is corporate sector. So it used to illustrate organizational structures and team dynamics. Next application is education. So it helps educators break down syllabi and explain concepts. Next application is quality management and finance. So it used in Six Sigma and other quality management processes for detailed process analysis. And the models the price of options and other financial instruments using decision trees. So in summary, a tree diagram is a versatile and powerful tool for organizing and analyzing complex information by breaking down broad categories into finer details. It helps teams and individuals understand relationships, identify patterns, and make informed decisions. Whether used in project planning, problem solving, or decision making, tree diagram provide clarity and structure to complex processes. Next tool is interrelationship diagram. So this kind of tool, also known as a relationship diagram or network diagram, is a visual tool used to identify and display the cause and effect relationship among various factors in a complex situation. This tool helps teams understand the interdependencies and influences between different elements, making it easier to pinpoint key drivers and outcomes. And the purpose and uses are to identify relationship, highlight the cause and effect relationship among different factors that are not easily recognizable. Next purpose is analyze complex situations. To break down the analyze complex and confusing problems by visualizing the interaction between various elements. Next is root cause identification. So it assists in identifying the most critical issues or root causes that need to be addressed to solve a problem effectively. So when to use an interrelationship diagram? These are particularly useful in scenario like problem solving, project management, quality management, and strategic planning. How? So, when dealing with complex problems that have multiple interactive factors, and to understand the relationship and dependency between different tasks or issues, and in quality management as a part of the seven management and planning tools to improve processes and outcomes, and in strategic planning to identify key drivers and outcomes in strategic initiatives, and the steps to create an interrelationship diagram. The first step is define the issue. So write a clear statement defining the issue or problem to be explored. Place this statement at the top of your work surface. Second step is brainstorm ideas. Gather ideas, factors, or issues related to the problem. Write each idea on a separate card or sticky notes. Then arrange ideas in a circle. Place the card or notes in a circular pattern on the wall of work surface. Then draw arrows to show relationships. For each idea, draw arrows to other ideas that it influences or affects. The direction of the arrow indicates the influence and the direction. Next step is analyze the diagram. So count the number of outgoing and incoming arrows for each idea. Idea with more outgoing arrows are likely to be root causes, while those with more incoming arrows are likely to be effects. And the last step is to identify key drivers and outcomes. So focus on the ideas with the most arrow to identify the key drivers and outcomes of the problem. So here are some benefits of using this type of tool. First is visual clarity, then enhanced problem solving, then improved decision making, followed by encourages collaboration. So provides a clear visual representation of complex relationships and interactions, helps teams identify root causes and key drivers leading to more effective problem solving, facilitates better decision making by highlighting the most critical issues to address, and the last involves team members in the process, fostering collaboration and diverse perspective. Here are three practical applications. First is Six Sigma projects. So it used to understand cause and effect relationship among different factors in quality improvement projects. Second application is organizational analysis. So it helps in analyzing and improving organizational processes and structure. And the third application is strategic planning, which assists in identifying key drivers and outcomes in strategic initiatives. Here are some tips for effective use of this type of planning. First is use with other tool. So it combines with other tools like affinity diagram or fishbone diagrams to gather detailed ideas and factors. Second tip is encourage open discussion. So foster an environment where team members feel comfortable sharing their insights and perspective. And the last tip is focus on key issues. Prioritize the most critical issues identified through the diagram for further analysis and action. So, an interrelationship diagram is a powerful tool for visualizing and analyzing the complex relationship between different factors in a problem. By identifying key drivers and outcomes, it helps teams focus on the most critical issues, leading to more effective problem solving and decision making. Whether used in project management, quality improvement, or strategic planning, interrelationship diagrams provide valuable insights into complex situations. And our next tool of planning is matrix diagram. A matrix diagram, also known as a matrix chart, is a powerful management and planning tool used to analyze and display the relationships between different sets of data. It helps in visualizing complex many to many relationships, making it easier to understand how different elements interact and depend on one another. And the purpose and uses are: first is analyze relationship. So identify and display the relationship between two or more sets of data. It uses to visualize complexity. It provides a clear visual representation of complex information that might be difficult to understand at a glance. It uses to support decision making, so aid in problem solving, decision making, and process improvement efforts by highlighting the strength and nature of relationship. So here are some types of matrix diagram. Matrix diagram can take various shapes depending on the number of data sets being compared. First type is L-shaped. Compare two set of data with one set represented in the top row and other in the left column. Second type is T-shaped. Compare three sets of data with one set in the top row and two sets in the left column. Then third type is Y-shaped. Compare three sets of data with each set compared to the other two. Next type is X-shaped. Compare four sets of data with each set compared to the other three. Then we have C-shaped, that means compares three sets of data in a circular manner. And the last type is roof-shaped, which means often used in conjunction with L-shaped diagrams to compare one set of data to itself. Here are some steps to create a matrix diagram. First step is define the objective. So clearly state the purpose of a matrix diagram and what you aim to analyze or solve. Second step is select dataset. That means to identify the sets of data or factors that need to be compared. Next is determine relationship. So decide on the type of relationships you want to analyze. For example, cause and effect or correlation. Next step is draw the matrix. Create a table with rows and columns representing the datasets. For example, in an L-shaped matrix, one dataset will be the top row and other in the left column. Then fill in the cells. Populate the intersecting cells with symbols, numbers, or labels that indicate the nature and strength of the relationship between the datasets. And the last step is analyze the diagram. So review the completed matrix to identify key relationship, pattern, and insights. Here are Some benefits of using a matrix diagram, which includes clarity and organization, enhanced problem solving, improved decision making, and last one is collaboration and communication. So it helps organize complex information in a structured and easy to understand format. It facilitates the identification of key relationship and causes. It provides a visual aid for making informed decisions based on the relationship between different factors, and it encourages team collaboration and enhances communication by providing a clear visual representation of data. Here are some practical applications which we have already discussed in previous tools like project management, quality management, strategic planning, and process improvement. These all four are same. Here are some tips of effective use. First is clearly defined relationship. Second, use appropriate symbol. Third, review and refine. So ensure that the relationship being analyzed are well defined and understood by all team members. Choose symbols or numbers that clearly indicates the strength and nature of the relationships. Regularly review and update the matrix diagram to reflect any changes in the data or relationships. So, a matrix diagram is a versatile and powerful tool for analyzing and visualizing the relationship between different sets of data by providing a clear and structured representation of complex information. It helps teams make informed decisions, solve problems, and improve processes. Whether used in project management, quality management, or strategic planning, matrix diagrams offer valuable insights into the interactions and dependencies between various elements. Our next tool is prioritization matrices. This type of tool, also known as a priority matrix or decision matrix, is a structured tool used to evaluate and rank options based on predetermined criteria. It helps individuals and teams make informed decisions by comparing multiple factors and determining which tasks, projects, or issues should be addressed first. Here is the purpose and uses of prioritization matrices. First use is evaluate options. So it assess and rank various tasks, projects, or issues based on specific criteria. It uses to improve decision making and enhance time management. So provide a clear visual representation of priorities to facilitate better decision making, and it helps individuals and team focus on the most important and urgent tasks, improving productivity and efficiency. Here are some types of prioritization matrices. First type is Eisenhower matrix, which is also known as urgent important matrix. Its axis is urgency, that means x-axis, and importance is y-axis. And the quadrants are urgent and important, not urgent but important, urgent but not important, not urgent and not important. And the values versus complexity matrix is axis. So value is x-axis and complexity is y-axis. Quadrants for the same is high level, high value, low complexity, high value, high complexity, low value, low complexity, and low value and high complexity. If we talk about weighted criteria matrix, so axis for the same is criteria is x-axis and options are y-axis. Process to assign weights to each criterion and score each option against these criteria Calculate the total score to determine priorities. Here are some steps to create a prioritization matrix. First is define the objective. So clearly state the purpose of the prioritization matrix and what you aim to achieve. Second is list options. So identify the task, project and issues that need to be prioritized. Next, determine criteria. So decide on the criteria that will be used in evaluate the options. For example, urgency, importance, value and complexity. Assign weights. If using a weighted criteria matrix, assign weights to each criterion based on their relative importance. Next step is score options. So evaluate each option against the criteria and assign scores. Next step is calculate totals and last step is visualize the matrix. So sum the scores for each option to determine their overall priority and then create a visual representation of the matrix to easily compare and analyze the options. Here are some benefits of using a prioritization matrix, including clarity and focus, improved decision making, enhanced productivity, collaboration, and consensus. I think we have discussed all four benefits in above tools of planning. So, move further. Here are some practical applications. First is project management, then quality management, strategic planning, and personal productivity. We have discussed all three practical applications in our tools. One was left, which is personal productivity. So it assists individuals in managing their to-do list and focusing on high priority tasks. And the tips for effective uses are clearly define criteria, ensure that the criteria used for evaluation are well defined and understood by all team members. Next tip is involve stakeholders. So engage relevant stakeholder in the prioritization process to gather diverse perspective and achieve consensus. Next is regularly review and update. So periodically review and update the prioritization metrics to reflect and changes in prioritize or circumstances. Next is use visual aids. So create visual representation of the matrix to facilitate easy comparison and analysis of option. A prioritization matrix is a versatile and powerful tool to evaluating and ranking tasks, projects, or issues based on specific criteria. By providing a clear and structured approach to prioritization, it helps individuals and teams make informed decisions, improve productivity, and achieve their goals more effectively. Whether used in project management, quality improvement, or personal productivity, prioritization metrics offer valuable insight into the relative importance and urgency of various options. Our next tool is activity network diagram. An activity network diagram, and also known as AND, as an arrow diagram, network diagram, or PERT, which is called Program Evaluation Review Techniques, is a visual tools used in project management to map out the sequence of activities and their interdependencies. This diagram helps in identifying the critical path of a project, which is essential for determining the project's expected completion time. So purposes and uses are visualize project activities, like it display the sequence and interdependency of project tasks to identify the critical path. So it determines the longest path through the project, which dictates the shortest possible project duration. To manage complex projects, so it handle projects with multiple activities that need simultaneously management, and to optimize scheduling, so add in scheduling tasks to ensure timely project completion. And here are some key components. First is nodes. So it represents individual activities of task in the project. Next component is arrows. It indicates the sequence and dependencies between activities. Next component is start and end points. So mark the initiation and completion of the project. And the last component is critical path, to longest path through the network, indicating the minimum project duration. Here are some steps to create an activity diagram. First is list activities. So identify all the activities required to complete the project. Then you need to determine dependencies. Establish the sequence in which activities must be performed and identify dependencies. Next step is draw nodes and arrows. So create nodes for each activity and connect them with arrows to show the sequence and dependencies. Then estimate durations. So assign time estimates to each activity. And the last step is identify the critical path. So calculate the longest path through the network to determine the critical path. Here are some benefits of using an activity network diagram. First is clear visualization. So it provides a clear visual representation of the project timeliness and task dependencies. Next benefit is critical path identification, then enhanced planning, then risk management and improved communication, which we already discussed in previous tools. Here are some practical applications like project management, quality management, and strategic planning, and all are same as in previous tools we have studied. Here are some tips of effective use. So first tip is accurate data. Ensure that the time estimates and dependencies are accurate to create a reliable diagram. Then regularly update the diagram to reflect any changes in the project schedule or activities. Utilize project management software tools to create and manage activity network diagrams efficiently. Then involve team members in the creation and review of the diagram to ensure all dependencies and tasks are accurately captured. So an activity network diagram is a powerful tool and managing the sequence for activities in a project. By identifying the critical path and understanding task dependencies, project managers can optimize scheduling, manage risk, and ensure timely project completion. Whether used in project management, quality management, and strategic planning, activity network diagram provide valuable insights into the structure and timeline for complex projects. And our next tool of planning is Process Decision Program Chart, which is called PDPC. So, a PDPC is a visual and systematic tool used in project management and decision making to identify potential problems and develop countermeasures. It helps teams anticipate issues that might arise during the implementation of a plan and prepare appropriate responses to mitigate risk. Here is the purpose and uses of a PDPC are identify potential problem. So systematically uncover what might go wrong in a plan under development. Next purpose is develop countermeasures. Create strategies to prevent or mitigate identified problems. Next is enhance planning. So improve the robustness of plans by addressing potential issues before they occur. Next use is facilitate decision making. So provide a structured approach to making informed decisions by considering possible risk and their impact. And the key components are main goal or plan, to central objective or plan that is being analyzed. Second is major activities, key activities or steps required to achieve the main goal. Next component is potential problems, it possible issues or risk associated with each major activity. And last component is countermeasures, actions or strategies to prevent or mitigate the identified problems. Here are some steps to create a PDPC. First is define the main goal. Second, identify major activities, followed by brainstorm potential problems. Also, develop countermeasures. And the last one is create the chart. So, clearly state the main objectives, then list the major activities or steps required to achieve the main goals. And for each major activity, brainstorm problems or possible problems that could arise. Then identify and document countermeasures for each potential problem. And in last, organize the information into a hierarchical chart, starting with the main goal, followed by major activities, potential problem, and countermeasures. And the benefits of using a PDPC are same. Now we will talk about practical applications, which is also same. First is project management, then quality management, then strategic planning, followed by process improvement. Here are some tips for the tool of planning. First one is involve stakeholders. So engage relevant stakeholders in the brainstorming process to ensure all potential problems are identified. Second tip is be thorough. That means consider all possible risk and develop comprehensive countermeasures. Third tip is regularly review and updates. So periodically review and update the PDPC to reflect any changes in the plan or new risk that emerge. And the last tip is use virtual or visual ads. Create a clear and easy to understand visual representation of the PDPC to facilitate communication and understanding. So a process decision program chart or PDPC is a valuable tool for identifying potential problems and developing countermeasures in project planning and decision making. By systematically anticipating and addressing risks, it helps ensure smoother project execution, higher efficiency, and better outcomes. So, our next tool is SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis is a strategic planning tool used to identify and evaluate the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats related to a business project or any other situation requiring a decision. This framework helps organizations understand their internal and external environments, facilitating better strategic planning and decision making. And the purpose and uses are assess internal factor, that mean identify strength and weaknesses within the organization, then evaluate external factors. So it used to recognize opportunities and threats in the external environment, then to develop strategic plans, to formulate strategies that leverage strength, mitigate weaknesses, capitalize on opportunities and defend against threats, to improve decision making, to provide a structured approach to making informed decisions. And the components of SWOT analysis are strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So, internal attributes and resources that support a successful outcome, internal factors that might hinder achieving objectives, external factors the organization can exploit to its advantages, and the last is threat. So it external factors that could cause trouble for the organization. And the steps to conduct a SWOT analysis are: define the objectives, clearly state the purpose of the SWOT analysis, whether it's for business, project, or personal assessment. Then gather data, collect relevant data on internal and external factors. This can include financial report, market research, employee feedback, and industry trends. Then engage stakeholder in brainstorming sessions to identify SWOT, that means strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Then create a matrix, that means organize the identified factors into a four quadrant matrix. Top left quadrant is for strength, then top right is for weakness, bottom left is for opportunities, and bottom right is for threats. And the last point is analyze and prioritize and develop strategies. So evaluate the factors in each quadrant to prioritize the most critical ones and formulate strategies that leverage strengths, address weakness, and exploit opportunities and mitigate threats. Here is the example of SWOT analysis. Imagine a small tech startup conducting a SWOT analysis. So first is S, that means strengths. So innovative product design, strong technical team, agile development process. What are the weaknesses? Limited marketing budget, small customer base, dependence on a few key clients. What are the opportunities? So, growing demand for tech solutions, potential partnership with larger firms, and expansion into new markets. What are the threats? Intense competition from established companies, rapid technological changes, and economic downturn affecting clients' budget. What are the benefits of using a SWOT analysis? Comprehensive overview. It provides a holistic view of the internal and external factors affecting the organization. Strategic insights. So it helps in identifying strategic initiatives and areas for improvement. To enhance decision making. So it facilitates informed decision making by highlighting key factors, and proactive planning. So it encourages proactive planning by anticipating potential challenges and opportunities. Here are some practical applications for the tool. First is business strategy. So it used to develop business strategies and competitive positioning. Second application is project planning. So it helps in planning and executing projects by identifying potential risks and opportunities. Next application is personal development. Individuals can use SWOT analysis for personal growth and career planning. And the last application is market analysis. It assists in understanding market dynamics and identifying competitive advantages. Here are some tips for effective use. First is be realistic. Ensure that the analysis is based on realistic and accurate data. Involves stakeholders. So engage a diverse group of stakeholders. to get a comprehensive perspective. Then regular updates and use visual ads. So periodically update the SWOT analysis to reflect changes in the internal and external environment. Create a clear and visual appealing matrix to facilitate understanding and communication. A SWOT analysis is a versatile and powerful tool for strategic planning and decision making. By systematically evaluating strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, organization can develop effective strategies to achieve their objective and navigate challenges, whether used in business, project management, and personal development. SWOT analysis provides valuable insights into the factors influencing success. Our next tool is pestile analysis. Sometimes referred to a pest analysis is a strategic management tool used to identify and analyze the key external factors that can influence an organization. The acronym PESTILE stands for political, economic, sociological, technological, legal, and environmental factors. This framework helps organizations understand the macro environmental factors that could impact their operations and strategic decisions. Purpose and uses of pest analysis are identify external factors, like recognize and understand the external factor that can affect an organization. Second is strategic planning. So add in the development of strategies that aligns with the external environment. Next is risk management and decision making. So anticipate potential threats and opportunities in the external environment. Then provide a structured approach to making informed business decisions. Here are the components of pestile analysis. First component is political factor. In political factor, we will study few points like government policies, taxation and trade policies, political stability, and corruption and bureaucracy. So regulation, policies, and government stability comes under government policies. Then tax law, tariffs, and trade restriction comes under taxation and trade policies. Then political stability is about the overall political climate and its impact on business operations. Talking about corruption and bureaucracy, so level of corruptions and bureaucratic hurdles are comes in this point. Next factor is economic factor, which includes another 4 points like economic growth, which is talk about GDP growth rates, economic cycle, and overall economic health. Then inflation and interest rates, it impact on purchasing power and cost of capital. Then we'll talk about exchange rates, the currency fluctuations and their effect on international trade. And the last point is unemployment rates. So labor market conditions and availability of skilled labor. Next factor is sociological factor, which include demographic, cultural trends, education level, and health and safety. So, in demographic, population size, age, distribution, and growth rates comes. And in cultural trends, social attitude, lifestyle changes, and cultural norms comes. If talk about education level, so literacy rate and educational attainment talked about in this level, and the health and safety, so public health issues and safety standards comes in this point. If we talk about next factor, so it is technological, and in technological there are few points, which is innovation and R&D, which talk about technological advancements, and research and development activities. Automation and AI, impact of automation and AI, which means artificial intelligence, on business processes. Next, technological adoption, rates of adoption of new technologies. And the last point is cybersecurity. So, threats and measures related to data security and privacy comes under this point. Next factor is legal factor, which includes regulation and laws. Compliance with industry specific regulation and laws comes in this point. Then we have employment laws, include labor laws, employee rights, and workplace safety regulation. Next point is customer protection, which includes laws protecting consumer rights and product safety. And the last point is intellectual property, includes patents, trademarks, and copyright law. Our next factor is environmental factor. It is about climate change, environmental regulations, sustainability initiatives, and resource availability. So, in climate change, we talk about the impact of climate change on business operations and sustainability. And in environmental regulation, compliance with environmental laws and regulations comes. And if we talk about sustainability initiatives, so efforts to promote sustainability and reduce environmental impact comes in the point. And the last is resource availability. So access to natural resources and raw materials comes in the point. If we talk about the steps to conduct a pestile analysis, there are few steps. First is define the objective. Clearly state the purpose of a pestile analysis, whether it's for a business project or market entry. Next step is gather data and followed by identify factors, analyze impact. Collect relevant data on each of the six pestile factors. This can include government reports, market research, industry publication, and expert opinions. List the specific factors under each pestile category that are relevant to the organization or project. Then evaluate the potential impact of each factor on the organization. Consider both positive and negative effects. Then determine which factors are most critical and prioritize them based on the potential impact. Then we build or formulate strategies to leverage opportunities and mitigate threats identified in the analysis. Example of the pestile analysis are: consider a company planning to enter a new international market. The pestile analysis might look like this. Political factor, so it talk about or it contains government stability and policies. Next point, trade agreements and tariffs and political risk and corruption level. If we talk about economic factor, so it consists economic growth rates and GDP, inflation and interest rates, exchange rate fluctuation. Then we have sociological factors. So it comes population demographics and growth, cultural attitudes and consumer behavior, and education and literacy rates. Then we have technological factor. It includes technological infrastructure and innovation, adoption of new technologies, cybersecurity threats. Legal factors, compliance with local laws and regulations, employment and labor laws, and the last point is intellectual property protection. And the last factor is environmental factor, which includes environmental regulation and sustainability initiatives, impact of climate change, availability of natural resources. Benefits of using pestile analysis are comprehensive overviews, like it provides a holistic view of the external environment. Next benefit is strategic insights. It helps in identifying strategic opportunities and threats. Next benefit is informed decision making. It facilitates better decision making by considering external factors and encourages proactive planning and risk management. Here are some practical applications. First is market entry, then strategic planning, followed by risk management and business development. Assessing the external environment before entering a new market, developing long term strategies that align with external factors, identifying and mitigating potential risk in the external environment, and exploring new opportunities and understanding market dynamics. Here are some tips for effective use. First is regular updates. Periodically update the pestile analysis to reflect changes in the external environment. Then we have involved stakeholders. It engage relevant stakeholders to gather diverse perspectives and insights. Use reliable data. It ensures that the data used in the analysis is accurate and up to date. Next, we have combined with other tools. So, use pestile analysis in conjunction with other strategic tools like SWOT analysis and Porter's 5 cores for a comprehensive assessment. In summary, a pestile analysis is a valuable tool for understanding the macroenvironmental factors that can impact an organization by systematically evaluating political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental factors. Organization can develop informed strategies, manage risk, and capitalize on opportunities, whether used for market entry, strategic planning, or risk management. Pestile analysis provides critical insights into the external environment.